Welcome to Duncan Thorin Shields YouTube channel. I managed to con Duncan into convincing his friend to pay me thousands of dollars as a professional Counter-Strike player, so maybe he can convince you that some of his analysis is correct.
The final two quarterfinals of the FACEIT Major London are upon us. Team Liquid against HellRaisers, big favourite against one of the big underdogs, surprise in the playoffs. Two very established names, FaZe Clan, the lineup which could have had their era if they'd won one more round in the last major final, versus Astralis, the team looking to cement their era with this major win and somewhat put it beyond dispute. So let's start with the first one, Team Liquid versus HellRaisers. I've already said I actually think this is the matchup in the whole quarterfinals that had the least upset potential. Like, I don't think there's any world in which HellRaisers is winning this matchup, not least because that whole win condition of like, just get him to overpass and Mirage, and then hopefully we can just fucking bang, overpass and Dust 2, whatever it was. And then, just Issa, walks it, go ham. That works for one map, and even then it doesn't work all the time. And even then that's not a guaranteed win, actually. So Team Liquid's got way too much firepower. And as you'll find out now, the scariest thing is they've actually developed into a much more well-rounded team across the map pool and in terms of where they can go in the map pool. Earlier this year, when them and Mouse Sports were right behind the FaZe Clans of the world, SKs, later on Astralis, those teams, and they were sort of the placeholder, potential number ones, like right behind, them and Mouse Sports both had quite similar, but divided map pools where it's like they were really strong on 3 maps, like can play 2 more, like if they have to, maybe they can play the last one. Now, so Mouse Sports fell off there. They actually lost even their own stability in the map pool and couldn't add extra maps. Team Liquid has added those extra maps, consolidated what they've got, and they've ended up with a really solid fucking map pool because, okay, everyone knows they love Mirage. They're really good on it. They won 3 of their last 4. Okay. Do people know they've won 3 games on a row on Cash? They beat MIBR twice there, who's playing Cash, and they beat Vega Squadron, who definitely plays Cash. That's a secret sleeper map. They've gotten really strong. Inferno, we know they go to all the time. They're only 3 out of their last 5 on it, but they lost to North and Astralis. Well, Astralis is nothing wrong with that, and they've beaten Astralis on that map, so very strong on Inferno still. Overpass. They don't play it. Used to be their permaban. They won the last 2 times they played against MIBR and Na'Vi. Na'Vi's one of the best Overpass teams in the entire world. Dust 2, which they've tried out a little bit. They're 1-1. They lost to Big, one of the best Dust 2 teams. At the time, we didn't even know Big was that good. This is at ESL Cologne. And they beat Na'Vi, team that sucks on Dust 2. But okay, that shows a little bit of hidden depth there. Perhaps they can go there if they need to. Nuke, they're not good on, in theory, because they've lost the last 2 games. Both to Astralis, by far the best team on any map in the world. And they are unbeatable on Nuke. I think actually Team Liquid can play Nuke. They're solid enough. So that leaves like 1 map left that now, after they can even win on Overpass, they really don't want to play, which is Train. And they lost it to North in overtime, also in Cologne. So you look at that. They used to play that map when they had to. They're banning it mainly now. They've swapped to that. So, okay, take out that ban. Take out the fact that the Nuke results don't really say who you are. And this is a really deep map pool against a team in HellRaisers that don't have a deep map pool at all. So the interesting thing about Team Liquid is they used to ban Overpass. That was their one-dimensional move. And then they always picked Inferno. So they were very telegraphed. Now they switch up the ban. Now they're mainly doing Train against most teams. But they can go to Overpass if they want. And they now pick based on the opponent. That's the key thing that's made it different because they've got a map pool that shows you they have the confidence in their map pool. HellRaisers, on the other hand, very one-dimensional. They're amazing on Overpass. They've won the last 5 there. Dust 2's pretty good. They've won 4 out of their last 6. Cash, they're 2-0 on, but one was against a Vanguard. All the rest are ropey. Like Inferno and Train, they're 1-1, and some of these losses aren't that great. Mirage, they've won 1 of their last 4. They even lost to Fnatic on that one. That was overtime. So they can play it, but it's not a great map for them. They do not play Nuke at all. So the interesting thing here, since they're a team who picks Dust 2, is how this veto is going to go, right? Because I think actually that Team Liquid will probably ban Train as their comfort ban at the moment, though I personally think they should ban Overpass. I would say ban Overpass, let them gamble that if they want to pick Train, you can at least play it, but they're too good at Overpass. I think they should ban Overpass, but actually I think they might go with comfort, so I think they might ban Train. I think HellRaisers will ban Nuke. It's a perma ban. They do ban Train often, but this is their perma anyway, and that tends to be because other teams ban Nuke. Team Liquid, I think, will actually pick Mirage. I know you might think, historically, pick Inferno. It's not a great HellRaisers map. I think they'll pick Mirage because it's very strong for Team Liquid, and it's a bad map for HellRaisers, provably, and I think Team Liquid wins that map. HellRaisers, if it's open, pick Inferno. Overpass, their best map. I still think Team Liquid wins it, to be honest. Like, the skill's there for Team Liquid, the quality's there. HellRaisers need a lot from the win conditions. If that's not there and we're swapping this for Train, okay, that's a bit more ropey. I might say that that's like a 50-50, and maybe I can even edge it to HellRaisers. Depends on the pick ban. If this is how we've gone so far, Team Liquid, I think, bans Nuke because Inferno and Cash would be left, which means HellRaisers has to ban Inferno. It's too good for Liquid, which would mean Decider on Cash, the map that, hey, HellRaisers absolutely sparked out fucking Fnatic on that. Doesn't matter. Team Liquid's got more raw skill. Team Liquid, I think, will edge that map. And I think Team Liquid can win every map in the series unless Train comes up, in which I'm a bit more 50-50. So I'm taking Team Liquid 2-0 or 2-1 if there's a clever veto. Then again, if Team Liquid bans Overpass, I think actually that's the interesting thing. They could actually ban to open up a map for HellRaisers. But then again, where can HellRaisers really go? Firepower, way too crazy for Team Liquid, especially with Twists being so good. He actually sometimes has underwhelming events and people just ignore it because his team carries him through. He's been on fire this event. Everything's looking really tip-top. They're the only one of the elite teams, one of the A-class teams that actually look like in top peak form at the moment. I guess Astralis is very good as well. So I'm saying that Team Liquid smashes this one completely. Only factor that at play is they can sometimes mentally break down a little bit, but this isn't like any reason to be this scared at this point in time. That's something that happens in the next round, I think, when you play against an Astralis or a FaZe. So I have no qualms whatsoever that Team Liquid take this one. There's even the possibility HellRaisers, with a bunch of players that haven't been to this point in a major before, just breaks down entirely and makes it an absolute whitewash. So Team Liquid could also stomp 2-0 and absolutely looking fucking insane form going in the semis and bait a lot of people into picking them. The other matchup's the one we want to talk about, right? It's Astralis versus FaZe. Heavily storied matchup. FaZe Clan, so many finals, so many semis, a number of titles with this particular lineup. Some of the greatest players of all time, like basically a Hall of Fame lineup from top to bottom. But FaZe hasn't been in good form this tournament. They haven't been that great since Olaf came back, even though he individually's played well. They haven't looked like a team going to win the tournaments. And they already were stuck in a spot with the standings where they generally didn't win the big events, but they were close, and people thought, what if Olaf came back? Astralis, obviously the undisputed best team in the world. Nobody comes close overall. Like, they just outstrip everyone in finals, titles, top fours, map record. And this is the thing, the map record right now. I know Astralis has looked a little bit weak in the last tournament and a half. It's looking bonkers again, boys. Because out of 7 maps, they don't play Cash at all. Haven't played in the last 3 months. The other 6 maps, they have a winning record on. So you might think, yeah, that could just be a 1-0. No, the least played map is Train, which they've played 3 times when forced to, and won all 3 times. After that, the worst map for them in terms of win rate is either Overpass or Mirage, which they have just a 66% win rate on. This team is fucking insane. Unbeaten on Nuke. Gods on that map. Inferno, 9 of their last 12. Absolutely bonkers. So hard to beat them. Mirage, that's a map they've lost a whole bunch, right? They've lost 3 out of the last 4 on that. Overall, still 6 out of 9. Dust 2, remember when they lost to North on that? Yeah, they shit into MIBR's Soul, who literally is heavily playing and practicing that map, 16-0. And then Overpass, that's just snuck in there, just 66%. Still one of their most iconic maps. Still a map they can easily play all day long. This team is fucking insane. It makes a map veto a nightmare because FaZe Clan, as I told you in the round 5 preview, they're a team that's actually had struggles with their map pool. Like, okay, they still like to play Mirage. They still try to make Train work. The problem is they picked Dust 2 a whole bunch, lost it a whole bunch, barely won it against G2 in overtime. That was fucking disgrace. So their Dust 2 is not good enough at the moment. It's not something they can really rely on. Cash is here and there. Overpass, they haven't played very much, and they just haven't played Inferno and Nuke. So sure, you could say they could try some crazy stuff, but there's nothing you can really try against Astralis if they ban Cash. They like to play everything else. So the pick ban is real tough for the guys from FaZe here. So I think actually that Astralis actually will just say, fuck it, we'll just go with our usual routine. Let's not try anything crazy. I think we'll just ban Cash. It's our permaban. Even though personally, I would actually just say maybe try banning Train there if you don't want to play it. If you really think it's something that actually FaZe will be strong on. I personally would just ban Cash though, because actually FaZe hasn't shown they're strong enough on Train. I think then FaZe bans Nuke. I think you've got to, even though you can try and be crazy in the veto, it's too dangerous from Astralis. Why have them pick Nuke against you and then start 0-1? I think Astralis actually will pick Overpass. FaZe don't really play at the moment. There's so many directions you can go in against FaZe, but Overpass is one that seems to be weak for them. I think I'd go for Inferno. I'd say they're not going to be good on that. We haven't seen them play it. What routine have they got? They clearly don't want to play it themselves. So personally, I'd be picking Inferno against them. I think you'd get the win there. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. Astralis is going to win every single map of this series. There's nothing FaZe can do. They've got the talent to do it. They've got the ability to do it. But you have to, on analysis, give it to Astralis every map. I then think that FaZe actually is going to have to pick Mirage. It's the map that you've seen Astralis lose on recently, including at this tournament. It's the Dust 2's just cost the guys from FaZe too many times, and you've got the MIBR result in the back of your head. So I think you pick Mirage. I think you've got a shot there. You've got a chance at it, but I think Astralis is going to win that one. Astralis should ban Train. FaZe Clan has to ban Inferno because they want Dust 2 as the decider. I think that's a decent enough decider. Again, puncher's chance. You've got all these superstar players, but Astralis will win that one as well. It doesn't really matter. I would never dare let Inferno go through at this point in time. I told you I'd have picked Inferno if I'm Astralis. But I think actually this veto might not end up being the crazy one of the Astralis FaZe teams of old. It might be a little bit more by the book, and FaZe know this is all about just raw skill level, ability to just play at a high level, get it down to clutches and win clutches with your superstar players. That was always the OP aspect of a team like FaZe Clan, is that in theory, once you get the initial utility and kills out of the way, you've got insanely good players at every single point of the game because your team's so stacked. You never have that scenario like in G2 where it's like, oh, it's Smiths and Body left in a 2v4. Well, this round's over. That doesn't exist in FaZe, or at least it shouldn't. Now, the problem is, against Astralis, how do you get down to those scenarios with their godlike CT sides, with their unreal T side, with the most ridiculous entries in the world at the moment, with device going everywhere but playing very efficiently and not losing his ult very much, and therefore their economy never suffers. And then in the map pool, they can play literally every single map that you pull out or that goes to a decider. So if FaZe Clan can win this, I think it'll actually be, despite the big names, a massive upset, a big underdog win for a team like FaZe Clan, because Astralis is seemingly so impenetrable, so undefeatable. That's the ridiculous part about them. I know they've lost recently, but series, I mean, North did it. Okay, fair play. That was a fucking miracle. What did it take? MSL had to out-orb everyone on the other side of the server and be the MVP of the game. They've got players in Nico, Guardian. Yeah, they can do that on FaZe Clan, but I don't think they will is the problem. And so I'm going to go ahead and say Astralis wins this one. Probably 2-0. Certainly puncher's chance means you have to give FaZe a chance of a map, but it's going to be a win for Astralis. Probably 2-0, maybe 2-1 if FaZe really steps up. I hope it's a classic series though. I hope FaZe really brings the firepower so much that it makes Astralis a little bit uncomfortable. We get an epic game, but I'm not expecting it. This video was kindly supported by Gardner Wilson, Dean Tanglis, Alex Adams, Eddie Wingfors, Andreas Snazore Westerlund, godawfulwasteofspace, Kyla Harris, Travis Greb, James Harding, Daniel Yordanov, VeXii, Robert Baxter, and a special thanks goes out to Jerky's Minion. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest to appear in my content? Do you want to ask me a question in my monthly AMA? Do you want teasers for upcoming content and guests? Want to take part in a discussion about esports with me? Put your money where your mouth is and join the Scrilluminati today. Link in the description box.